I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why.
Anyways,
If this is your portfolio right now, you might be interested in what that little green blip right up in that middle, right below Apple is doing and what that's all about. Or maybe you're just thinking about divorcing your husband if he hasn't been buying Bitcoin or doesn't understand how money works. It is Monday, April 7th, 2025, and this is your Mining Disrupt News Surge. As always, everything that you see here is for entertainment and education purposes only. No financial advice from this guy. Now, remember, like, subscribe, comment, bell notifications, you know the deal. You want to stay up to date. You want to be informed. That's why you're here. There's a benefit to delaying the news and doing a recap the way that I do, because when I release my take, it's a little bit more nuanced. At least that's my aim. That's my hope. I try to be a little bit less reactionary. But when it comes to something like this, British Hodl here saying, Larry Fink, US dollar is at risk of losing its reserve status. I don't think that British Hodl is being reactionary. This is truly crazy. What he says here is spot on. What type of reality are we living in right now? The Overton window may not exist anymore for Bitcoin. And on the heels of that, it came out that Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are now going to be invested in something called American Bitcoin with Hut 8 Corporation. And Blockware here saying the sons of the president are Bitcoin miners. Why aren't you? You are, right? I mean, you can get a BitAxe for 200-ish bucks, and then you can go, I mean, the sky's the limit from there. But you gotta be doing your part to complete the trifecta. Self-sovereignty, running a node, and then mining, even if it is just a BitAxe. Here's Pierre Richard saying, printing USD to add Bitcoin to the strategic reserve would be the least painful way to solve the Triffin dilemma. The US would no longer have to run trade deficits to provide sufficient USD for global reserves, which would help domestic industries and reduce the need for tariffs. I have seen some people that seem to be quite smart pro-tariff, and I've seen some people that are quite smart anti-tariff. I really don't know what the take is, but what I do know is that Bitcoin, MSTR, and GME, pretty much anything associated with Bitcoin, is doing just fine. Oh, and if you missed this, maybe one of the biggest pieces of news to come out in the past week, Justin Jack Dorsey confirms Block is working to enable 4 million merchants to accept Bitcoin. Now, some people say you don't need that, it doesn't matter, we don't need to be able to spend it or transact with it, but what we do need is more awareness. And what 4 million coffee shops, hardware stores, grocery stores accepting Bitcoin at their portal would do is bring the awareness to the masses, and that's a huge benefit. And on Friday, news about the tariffs and the S&P and the markets going crazy were all over the place. Here we go, rapid fire style. Mitchell Hodl, S&P down 11% on the month, and Bitcoin is flat. Unfathomably bullish. Dennis Porter, wow, just wow, this is incredible to witness. And he's quoting Marty Party here. Bitcoin versus the US stock market. Here's Bitcoin just bouncing around, just cruising along, healthy heartbeat, and the stock market's nosediving. Max Kaiser, today might go down as the day Bitcoin's unique safe haven status triggered global panic buying of Bitcoin. Bram Canstein, this might be my most bullish day in Bitcoin in 11 years. And I encourage you to check out this tweet linked below. It's from MacroJack21, and he's retweeting this one from Michael Tanguma. And the takeaway here is that if Bitcoin 10x's from where it's at right now, and you have a decent stack, I'm not even talking a crazy stack, forget a crazy stack, I'm talking about people that are in the, say, 10th of a Bitcoin to 20 Bitcoin range. People that stacked aggressively because they saw the light in the last 3 to 4 years. Maybe they saw the light when things dipped down to that 15, 16 range and said, you know what, I'm selling this property. After it dropped down from that 69, 70 range that it was at all the way down to that 15, 16 range it was at for a while. That was pristine buying time in the last 4-ish odd years. If that's you and you're sitting on, let's say, 5 Bitcoin right now, worth, let's call it an even $420,000. If Bitcoin 10x's from where it's at right now, that's $4.2 million. That is life-changing money. That's, I can't buy a home in many places to, I can buy a home in pretty much any place I want. So my closing comment is this. If you have not seriously talked about, even with yourself in a mirror, what you're going to do when that happens, you will be entering uncharted territory, rocky waters, and things might get very weird for you very fast. So regardless of Bitcoin doing a 10x, a 9.9x, a 10.3x, whatever it's going to do, it does seem quite likely that the economic landscape is shifting and shifting a lot faster than some people anticipated, and you need to have a game plan. Because you might find that when Bitcoin climbs up drastically, that you've got old high school friends on Facebook saying, oh, hey, I remember that time you posted about Bitcoin and it just 10x'd. Hey, Billy, do you remember me? And you might not want to deal with that. So, have a plan in place, because it seems with each passing day, it is less of an if and more of a when. Until next week.